Time to buy Bitcoin. Everybody's asking that question. What the hell is going on with altcoins? Are altcoins about to make a massive reversal and show incredible bullish signs and pumps to the upside? We are in a zone of uncertainty. I'm going to be pointing that out for you, exactly what we're looking at today for today's stream. We've got a great guest coming in today. We're going to be talking about things on the macro level. We're going to be talking about the reversal that's very likely in the cards right now for what's going on in this market and what are we doing about it. Is this live streaming on Twitter as well? Let me see. I don't know why it's not showing this. This should be on Twitter. What the hell? Hold on one second. Can I not? Damn it. Hold on. I might be. Guys, if you're tuned in right now, I don't think this is live streaming on my Twitter. I'm going to restart the stream, so there's going to be another link here in just a moment, I believe. God dang it. Hold on one second. X.com. Having issues with X all day long, every day. Let's see. There we go. We are good to go. All right, let's go ahead, dive right on into it. I'm going to, we've got a great guest coming in today. I do not know why. You know what? Screw it. I'm just going to retweet. Boom. Let's get into it. Let's go. There's a key signal we all need to be paying attention to about exactly what's happening with risk assets. We're all getting frustrated in a time right now where really it's a great identification that we're not looking forward in this market. We're not looking about where this is all going. And this is the most critical, most pivotal time probably in history of not only a monetary asset, but a technology that provides freedom to everybody. And we are so early in everything that's going on right now. So what is going on with Bitcoin? What signals are we looking for? What can we do? And can we trade tax-free on crypto? So many people, there's all these things about there's going to be no capital gains on crypto. And David Bailey, the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine and the guy that runs Bitcoin Conference, also the one that was the little birdie in Donald Trump's ear before the election about, hey, you need to be looking into this Bitcoin thing because not only is it a major impact in terms of the user base that's using this, it could probably swing the election, but also how important this is for our national debt and also securing a future, not only for us as individuals, but also securing a future moving forward for the United States on the world stage. So with that being said, how are you all doing? How are you feeling? We got some critical things that we're gonna be looking at today. My name's Kellam. Welcome to the BitLab Academy. If you are new here, welcome to the family. We got to look at what's going on because it feels so scary right now. And I'm tired of everybody being so scared. We got to look onward. We got to look upward. We got to look out. If we're looking out into what's happening over beyond the next 3 days, but over through the next a couple months into the next couple years, this is not only the absolute perfect time to buy Bitcoin, but as Gary Cardone pointed out, although we're seeing red on this daily, although we're seeing red and mixture of red and green, now on the hourly, we're getting a little bit of a pump. Who gives a crap about the hourly? When we understand what's going on, now is the perfect time to be stacking. And some would argue it's the best, most risk-adjusted time in history to buy because of how much government, institution, and world awareness and support that's coming in these capital channels. So while this is scary on the hourly, oh my God, we're going up, we're going down, it's chopping people back and forth. Look at the daily. Does this mean it's over? Let's stop asking those kind of questions. Let's ask, how can we be best prepared for our future, but also how can we make sure that we're capitalizing on what's going on in this market? Because yes, we're down. And yesterday we were up at like 2.85, I think, $1 trillion market cap for crypto. We're down. We're still in that range, 2.74, and everything is sort of hinging on a couple things in this market. Now, realize what's going on in this market. What is going on in this market? Trump was supposed to be good for bullishness in this market. Sometimes the smartest thing that you can do is contrary for what you think you want in this exact moment. For instance, if you lay on the couch all the time and never do a damn thing with yourself, with your body, with movement, with exercise, you're going to end up being fat, unhealthy, and unhappy. If you're able to choose the pain to have a better gain, to have a better experience of pleasure in life and happiness and health, all these things. And the same thing is true for our government with our fiscal health. Sometimes you have to choose the pain. And I really do believe it's laid out in the cards. That is what's going on in this market right now. Because when you look at this is from a friend of ours, Quentin Francois, pointed out, and we've been talking about this $7 to $9 trillion looming debt issue. Yes, we have 36 trillion plus, but the issue is more pronounced when you consider some of these things about when they need to be paid or refinanced. And we have our interest rates as high as they are. So what are we seeing? $9.2 trillion in US debt is coming due this year while we're having interest rates out of control. And Trump has told Jerome Powell, or said to the American people, we're going to cut rates. Well, the Fed makes that decision. Well, how can you shape what the Fed's decision is going to be? Put pressure on markets in certain areas so that the market de-risks a little bit. So you're not having a runaway stock market, runaway assets, and you're having issues with inflation as well. That is contrary to what the Fed is trying to do. They're not going to do it in that regard. But now what are we doing? We're bringing all these tariffs into focus. It's putting a little bit of uncertainty on the market. We're seeing some pullback on the market all in the time. I think this is the chart right here. This is the S&P 500. S&P 500 pulling back. It's all over, right? Well, we're seeing the general trend of the stock market and Bitcoin following basically the same trend with slight differences in where, some pullbacks are, in some cases more or less on a percentage basis. But when we're seeing the general trend, this, especially the S&P 500 looking at with Bitcoin, we're seeing this correlation of the risk nature of how people are trading and investing in the stock, because most people don't get it yet. They don't get that this is essentially exactly in the cards for what needs to happen. So when we see that there's $9.2 trillion in US debt coming due in 2025, they need lower rates to survive. The quickest way to fix this, a recession or a fear of it, or people de-risking to, with the thought that maybe something worse is coming. In reality, something much, much better is in store because we're tackling this head on. We're choosing the pain near term so we can have so many gains long term. That is what's in the cards right now. That's what we're doing right now. That's what Donald Trump, that's what Scott Bessent, that's what, the entire Howard Lutnick, the entire architecture of our economy and our money systems and the empowerment of growth industries and tech and the SEC. We saw everything with Paul Atkins yesterday and the comptroller and all those confirmations hearing that they're having. Their intention is to empower this new technology, empower what's going on with blockchain, stop stepping on not only just Bitcoin and crypto, but the growth industries, tech industries, stepping into the future and making that possible. And all the while, we also have to figure out what's going on with the U.S. debt and this $9.2 trillion that has to be refinanced this year. So this is what we're seeing. So every Trump tariff mentioned, yields drop. Oh, that's getting us right in the right direction. Risk assets, they're collateral damage. Let me say this on the main screen. If you understand what's going on right now, risk assets are the collateral damage, and it's terrible. It's terrible for people that aren't paying attention. Risk assets right now are collateral damage for what's happening in the near term from Trump's tariff talk, also putting pressure on the Fed, putting pressure on the economy in a way that makes the Fed more likely or more inclined or have the right parameters so that they can cut interest rates and then at some point get back into that quantitative easing landscape that we love so much in the risk asset investment class. So while so many people are frustrated right now and some people just want to exit the market, I'm looking at the data. Other major players, big money players, corporate players, institutional stackers are looking at the data and saying, these are those moments that provide the best opportunities for buying for long-term incredible gains. So right now, I'm asking you, are you allowing yourself to be collateral damage on this near-term pain, or are you choosing this pain so that you can have long-term gain? Now let's dive into this. We got a lot more to cover in today's show. So yes, 9.2 trillion. And we even see this from other AI things breaking these things down as well. We see it with the stock market and the Bitcoin price sitting here with, yes, we had the double top sell off, but we had the same thing in the stock market, where the stock market, look at where it came back down to, the trading range right here, where we had two areas actually reverse prior. So the price came down, kind of de-risked a bit, brought some of that to maybe overpriced assets coming down, giving opportunity. So what do we look for right now? What are we looking to in the market? I did this post just before we went live. And what is this? Bitcoin and stocks risk matrix simplified. So very simple. We talk about the strength of what's happening with the US dollar and how it pertains to what happens with risk assets. When the dollar is pumping, Bitcoin tends to have a very hard time. The dollar pumping, the strength of the dollar pumping, is a great indication that people are moving out. It's a good signal for people to move out, but also a signal that people are moving out of risk assets and parking it into other things, safer in their mind, risk off assets. So when you see the dollar pumping like this, you see a strong correlation of Bitcoin having a hard time. When you see the dollar breaking down like this, you see much better scenario. And interestingly, look at this all the way back here, July 2022. We have this downtrend of resistance, and look at where the dollar actually broke down to, found a support right on this. Now we also see a rising channel in the dollar here, where we're having a lot of just work in here with the massive deviation down, but then this explosion back up, finding resistance right on this known trend line that we've seen. And what do we see? This is broken down, which if this breaks down, confirms and continues down. Well, look, if this continues down, this is risk assets pump. If this breaks back into the zone and we got to move all the way back, whether it's to the median level here, where you can kind of see the trend line here, where this support, resistance, support, resistance, this sort of median zone. If this pushes up into here, the area from the dollar pumping into the zone or even beyond, this is risk assets dumping. So we are in this zone of uncertainty of this rising level of support, which currently is potentially, it hasn't flipped, but it's potentially flipping to resistance right here. But we also have this level of previous resistance that is currently flipped to support. So this is, I was looking at this earlier. I hadn't pulled up this specific chart in a while on my trading view. You know, we've been looking at it, coming over here, looking at the dollar as it relates to, where is it? Bitcoin versus US dollar. Bitcoin Dixie. This is what we're seeing. Bitcoin Dixie. Look at this. The dollar pumping, this is blue. As the dollar pumps here, we see Bitcoin having a very hard time. Okay, dollar dumping, what do we see? Parabolic uptrend on Bitcoin. So there's a clear correlation, and it's not going to be one-to-one. It's a general over a period of time in the directionality of these two different assets. But we see the dollar has actually been dumping here, and Bitcoin's kind of been sitting in this intermediary, also uncertain zone. But this is it pointed out much more clearly. We're seeing this right here in this uncertainty zone, and it makes sense with everything going on in the market at the moment. So rather than us being so damn frustrated, we see clear indication based on historical trends of not just Bitcoin, but assets in general, and how the dollar is performing and how Bitcoin is going to tackle that issue. We've got a couple dates coming up that we've talked about, April 2nd being one of them. What does it look like the 6 to 12 weeks after that? Because it's not going to be on that exact day that we're just going to have April 2nd and then the market just resolves and we have this massive pumpage. That would be great. And if it starts great, I'd be very hesitant to be like, it's just going up from here. It's going to over the general trend of the next many years, but there's going to be some major swings along the way. Major swings. So when we see April 2nd as a date, not only on Bitcoin because of the tariffs, when we come over here and look at Bitcoin, I just want you to notice right here, what do we got? We have this date come, it's actually this, where is it? It's up here. This right here. So this comes right, oh, sorry, you're not seeing it. This comes right into this zone right here, April 1st, April 2nd, which is the apex of the price action that has come into here right now. So understanding that gives us a much clearer understanding that not only is Bitcoin pushing into a range, Bitcoin's pushing into a range that, let me just, I'm just sharing this. You can't see it, but I'm sharing this with Chris really quick. There we go. We have the tariff consideration. We have the geopolitical nonsense going on. I actually even saw that they're moving B-2 bombers over into, I can't remember, Diego Garcia, which is a base over there near everything going on with Iran and all that, for potential issues if they don't come to terms with some of the economic sanctions or provisions that they want to adjust. So there's a kind of a lot on the table right now. If I had to guess, even if we have bullishness pushing up, in April into May, I think there's going to be a period of chop, whether we get it all the way through the summer or maybe we start to just work our way up. But I do think bullishness is here. Bullishness is just not like we're expecting because there's a whole changing of the guard, which, as Elon Musk pointed out last night you've got to watch the interview that he did with Bret Baier, because it wasn't Elon Musk. It was Elon Musk with all the main people that he's utilizing at Doge. And it's not a bunch of little kids like they portray on the news with big balls and all this freaking nonsense. There are people that are major players in tech and industry, in business and accounting, that are working, rocket scientists that are working. And I mean, you got to watch that interview. It's just a great interview. But he pointed out, it's like we are in the middle of one of the most profound needed revolutions in history of the US since the revolution. And why is it so important? Because if these things don't happen with Doge and the cutting and even the tariffs, all of this is part of this revolution of America getting back to being America and being run in a healthy way that can be sustainable into the future. So understanding that allows you to understand why there might be some uncertainty in the near term, but it's such an incredible platform for insane bullishness in the midterm to long term. This is why we're getting so damn excited right now. So let's go ahead and look at what is going on. We got a couple more things to look at. We got our guest coming in here in a little bit. And this is one of those things that came out this morning, the PCE. PCE rose, but it's year over year, it's kind of flat. What the hell does it mean? Well, let's kind of break it down. I asked Grok, where's it at? Did I delete it? Oh, don't tell me I deleted it. Please don't tell me I deleted it. There it is. Here we go. I asked Grok to break it down for us. The bond market and interest rates, what it means. The uptick on core PCE, which excludes volatile food and energy prices. You see, they don't include the stuff that everybody uses, energy and food every day. It's kind of blows my mind. Up to 2.8% year over year suggests underlying inflationary pressures are building, which is not a great indication for what we want to see with the Fed and cuts. However, things are starting to uptick into what we're seeing for a June interest rate cut. But this is giving a little bit more of that uncertainty of what we're seeing. We also have issues with the equity markets, but this is where we're looking. The currency markets, US dollar, what it means when we have higher than expected inflation can strengthen the dollar. So let's go back to the chart I posted this morning. Very simple, very, very simple. This cuts out all the noise, and there's other things to consider, yes. But sometimes you can just look at a simplified idea. When you have the strength of the dollar, as we've seen on this, huge strength of dollar increase, the blue line right here, Bitcoin versus US dollar, we see a very strong correlation with risk assets, and Bitcoin is not a risk asset. I will say that boldly. However, you have to trade it like the market's trading it. It is still trading like a risk asset. And we see the Bitcoin having that very hard time. Similarly, when you see dollar crashing, you see very great performance in the Bitcoin asset price. So when we just talked about that from, what was it, Grok? Where is it at? Right here. Higher than expected inflationary can strengthen the dollar. So this is why, when we're wondering, why isn't Bitcoin pumping today? We have a Bitcoin president, crypto-friendly ecosystem, all building stronger and stronger and stronger. It doesn't mean the entire house is built. We got the lot cleared. We have the ability to start building this incredible foundation. But in the near term, we are seeing this complete, look at this, zone of uncertainty. You can see it on a chart basis. You can feel it in what's happening with the S&P 500. And considering, is it time to buy Bitcoin? The question is, what the hell do you expect? The best performing asset in history just now got essentially the explicit support, approval, and championship of the US president. We have an entirely new SEC, basically framework for what we're doing moving forward. We have all these SEC cases that were just stepping on the throat of any growth and empowerment of this industry. Completely, all these cases have gotten dismissed. We have BlackRock, Fidelity, Van Eck, 21 Shares, Bitwise, the list goes on and on there. We're starting to see MasterCard integrate with Bitcoin. You see blockchains like Ondo that are working with such a list of power players in the global business stage, not just finance, from Wisdom Tree to McKinsey to, we talked about MasterCard, BlackRock, and the list is just getting stronger and stronger for the framework for an incredible structure moving forward. And that's why right now, if you're looking, especially, I know I'm trading on very small percentages of my account, but I am stacking into longer term gains. And we're having more and more concern about what's going on a tax basis, on an investment basis, on a retirement basis. And there's finally new tools. There's finally new avenues. And there's also the empowering and supportive regulatory structure that's now in a tangible way with evidence and forward progress showing that the time is now. Gary Cardone, multi-hundred, if not billionaire, him and his brother, now is the best risk-adjusted time in history to buy Bitcoin. But the price is so much higher than when you could get it for $300. Well, that was a risk play then. Now it's a substantial moral imperative play, I would argue. But we got other thoughts and other things going on in this market. We got somebody in the wings I'm going to bring in. It's a good friend of mine. We went to high school together. He was the lead ballerina. No, I'm just joking. Wonderful individual. We got to connect last night and talk at length. How you doing, Mr. Chris Kline?
Hey, how you doing, Kelly? It's great to see you, buddy.
You too. I feel like it's been so long.
I know. It's been maybe about 30, 40 minutes since we've seen each other.
I'm going to move you there. Now we're on equal. I could look you in the eye. So one of the things I'd love to talk about, because you and I were having a discussion at length yesterday when we were driving over to Marietta, even like your experience, like for Bitcoin IRA, which we're gonna get into some particulars on that in a bit. But what I'm really interested for our audience is you have a decade or more of experience in this market as a trader, as an investor, as a business developer in this space. The appetite pre-even 2017, pre that massive run up to $20,000, comparatively with last year, I feel like that growth and the acceptance level is also almost equal to the exponential growth that we've seen in the appetite and the acceptance on an ultra high net worth institutional corporation and state level that's happened since January 11th last year with the Bitcoin spot ETF approvals to where we're at now with the new, basically inaugurated new administration that's like championing crypto. So what do you make of this? Because I mean, I know how frustrating it was for me, but as somebody that deals directly with people on a tangible level, give us your money. Actually, no, it's your money. How about you invest in this? What's the appetite shift?
I mean, great way to put it earlier. You just said, what more do you need to be vindicated that this is the future of monetary policy and a big piece of how the economy is going to move forward? What I see a lot that's happening from the very beginning, it was I call them the engine nerds. They were guys that were from Intel, NASA, IBM, these types of places, these forward tech thinkers back in 2016. And we were doing this all paper, like old school bond traders. It was very old school because we didn't know what we had built yet. Now the appetite just becomes more and more insatiable, and the hodlers, they make it very easy for me to get up every morning because certain days, if you look at it short term, you're watching the aberrations in the price that are moving. That's where all my gray hairs came from. I didn't have any gray hairs before I started crypto 10 years ago. Well, it might be my daughter too. She's 11, so I guess it works out. But nowadays you see this insatiable appetite for access to these things. And what I love about crypto and Bitcoin in general is this is the people's currency. This is being driven by the retail buyer. This isn't something that we waited until the institutions got rich off of it and we get the scraps. We started this, and we're on a train headed towards scarcity and a store of value that just cannot be stopped. And it gets me amped almost every single day.
I love that answer, because for people that have come into the market, even this cycle, I don't think and I get it. It's hard for them to understand seeing in real time the bullish divergence in data. And even, for instance, you've done, we were talking yesterday, you've done over 1,200 media presence appearances, whether it's talking on radio shows, talking on Yahoo Finance, talking on with Reuters, Anthony Pompliano, Discover Crypto, the whole gambit. So you had mentioned that it was almost like you're the black sheep in the room. It's like, okay, we have to talk to this guy. And now it's, what's the appetite now? Has it changed? Because as weird as it sounds, the reason I bring it up, the reason that I think that's important is because it's a tangible, noticeable shift in the general zeitgeist about what Bitcoin is, where it sits on the global finance stage, and is it legitimate or not? And why does that matter?
Yeah, absolutely. I just got down here in Georgia from a trip in New York. I've been kind of on a media tour this week, and I was laughing about the first time I went into Yahoo Finance a few months, about 6 months ago. It was like, "We'll get you on." They didn't even give me an exact time. I was there for the whole hour, and they said, "At some point, we'll get you on." And I was like, "Well, you got to earn your stripes. This is part of the process. You got to go through it." And then this most recent visit, there's somebody waiting at the front door for me. They've got my coffee. They bring me into makeup and put makeup and do my hair, mic me up, make sure I'm comfortable. Like just a totally different experience with a main broadcast media provider, and the positivity and the welcomeness. There was a lot of years in those 1,200 interviews where I got a lot of anxiety waiting for that gotcha moment, because they were looking for that ability to say, "Oh, well, then obviously Bitcoin is a scam, or it's a fugazi, or whatever it might be." Now their genuine like appetite for interest, and trying to catch up from the educational standpoint and get themselves up to speed on it's just a total shift. I love the word zeitgeist. You nailed it. That's exactly how it feels. There were years, I remember I used to joke with friends, like when I first started Bitcoin IRA in 2016 with my partners, a lot of my friends and family were like, "Are you nuts? What is this? What are you doing with your career?" And then there was, "Oh my God, you were a genius" when 17 happened. And then, "Oh, are you okay?" in 18. And then in 19 and 20, I came back. 21 was obviously a big run. And then when everything went down in 22, 23, they were calling me saying, "Hey, you didn't have anything to do with all this, right?" And these are the shifts of people's mentality. And now, my thing is, I've just stay the course, man. I want to help educate people. I want to make sure my mission is to help more Americans retire. We live in whether you like it or not, or don't want to admit it, we live in a fixed game, and the game is fixed against the average American, in all kinds of fashions. And crypto and Bitcoin in particular are ways where you can break that ceiling and take control of your keys, and make your keys not just your keys to your wallet, or the keys to make them a key as a weapon. When I first started this, I was telling you this last night, I lived in a motel for 9 months when I built my first company, not Bitcoin IRA, but my first company out in California. And I still have the key to that motel room, and it wasn't a Motel 6 or a Motel 8. It was a Motel -1. It was rough, on the corner of the 101 and the 405. But I hold that key, and I had $200 under the mattress, that I would, in case everything went wrong, I would take a Greyhound bus home back to Denver with my tail between my legs. And I have those two things sitting in a box as a memory, and I turn that key into a weapon. And that's really what we're allowed to do as Bitcoiners and as crypto enthusiasts and investors today.
You brought up a great point, and I shared a tweet yesterday from Wolf Financial that just hits the nail home. It's important, and again, I love Bitcoin. I love quite a few different altcoins that I'm stacked into my portfolio, but nobody can tell anybody what to invest in, where, and why. I like here on BitLab Academy, Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement. Our goal, overarchingly, our moral imperative when we stream is to, one, empower people, two, give them good data points, and try to look at things. You can't take all bias out, but as unbiased as possible. What does the data say? Not, "Hey, here's the price today." No, screw that nonsense. Let's go back to the characteristic of why investing is so important. And I'm going to tie this into why IRAs are really important. And everybody that's tuned in right now, I want you to know specifically, this is not a shill in any regard. This is an absolute imperative based on the way the fiat money system works. A first generation iPod cost $399 when it launched in 2001. If you purchased Apple stock instead of that iPod, that would be worth $316,000. Now, do you think that iPod I bought it. I did it. It's not that you don't go and buy things, but it's just the awareness of how much devaluation of the buying power of the dollar has occurred. There's nothing that you can do to keep up other than investing based on the way our monetary system works. Now, you could say it's bad that they print money, and I agree with that. However, because that is the nature of how fiat systems work, why not participate in monetary value capture systems, which is essentially what investing is, looking to where trends are going, whether it's something very risk adjusted like a VOO index fund, or something like Vanguard or something like that. Sure, but I am also looking at the fact that blockchain is the future, so why not also participate in that? I think of every dollar I spend that's not in an investment of some sort, especially within Bitcoin and a few select alts. I look at it as every dollar I'm spending, I'm stealing $10,000 from my future. So I ask, is this seventh cheeseburger this week worth a $10,000? Is it a $10,000 cheeseburger? No. It helps me sort of rectify how I'm spending my money, where and why, but still balancing. We got to live our life. You got to go on that vacation. You can't just only be tied to this dollar slavery and how am I going to expand my future? We need to find that balance. And that's why I think it's important. Now, throwing it over to the importance of IRAs and investing and taxes. This is so important. It's coming into tax season, but also the fact that I remember I was there for it. I know you were there for it. 2017, so many people were trading. They made so much money. They did not look even 6 months ahead than their tax bill came due in April. And I know at least 6 people personally that were so underwater because they didn't even have assets that they could sell to even cover the money they made, because this market crashed over the new year into January, and then they were left with a $300,000 tax bill, $400,000 million tax bill. So can you talk a little bit about that? And why would I put money in an IRA when I want to try and trade? I want to trade and make a lot of money. So why would I put and just park it in an IRA where I can't do that?
Yeah, I'll simplify it to what I do with my daughter. She's 11, and we have a policy with her that it's a dollar spent, a dollar saved and invested. So if she earns an allowance. She does things around the house. She does, and she also has outside earned income because she's a mini little influencer, and she also does things in, like, it's Los Angeles, so she does commercials and things like that. So when she has a budget, if she wants to go and get the next Toca Boca thing, or get tokens for Roblox or whatever it might be, or go to the mall, we have a policy that if you're going to spend $50 at the mall, then you're going to put $50 into your investment account and invest something with it. And we've been doing that for years with her. She in fact has a Roth IRA with both Bitcoin and Ethereum in it for her college savings plans. And that's a really easy way to think about it, because also as a business, I run my household like a business, but I also run a business. We do what we call a Hall of Savings program, which every 6 months we go through every expense, and we find, you forget about these little memberships you have, or these little things that you signed up for, and you cut them out and think of them as a multiple. So most people that build a business, they're looking to sell their business someday. That's the ultimate exit. And if you do that, you're going to get a multiple of your revenue, either your top line or EBITDA. And if you do 15x or 10x, so a $1 is worth $10 on that balance sheet. And so if you wasted $10,000, now it's $100,000 that you wasted in value. So those are two things that we put in our minds, as myself as an individual with my family. Now, retirements. This is a tool the government gave us because they wanted to encourage us to save. We've been through several saving crises in the last 100 years in this country, and so our proud senators and legislators put together the traditional or the individual retirement account system. There's 2 ways where you can benefit off of it. If you put in pre-tax funds, which means I made $100,000 this year, and I'm going to contribute my max by April 15th for $7,000. Now your tax liability amount will go from $100,000 down to $93,000. That's right there. Great savings. That will now, what they multiply times to in order to get your tax bill will be lower. And then once you're in that shelter, you're in the traditional IRA, you can buy, sell, trade all day long without capital gains implications, because you're in what's known as a tax umbrella or tax sheltered account. This is really powerful for people that like
So
to switch
I
between.
have to stop you for a moment, because I think
Yep.
that this goes over a lot of people's heads. That's why I kind of teed you up this way. A lot of people think, okay, IRA, I'm basically taking whatever I'm saving this year in cash and putting it into an IRA, and it might grow. Say they buy Bitcoin initially when they roll it in. You're specifically saying they're able to trade Bitcoin. Well, I'm actually seeing here over 75 different cryptos that they can actually actively trade.
Yep. Whenever they want, 24/7, 365. Yes, sir.
Holy moly. I had to cut you off there because I just really wanted to highlight that. I think it's important that people realize, because in this case, let's say 2017, those that were actively trading and making money, potentially losing money, making money, but then the market drops, they don't get hit with the tax bill on the capital gains that puts them in that absolute complete hole, where it's like they were rich 2 months ago and now they have a $400,000 tax burden with liens on their house.
Exactly, because they have that tax shelter that they're sitting in for the trading. So if you take that 7,000 and say you tripled it to 21,000, and then you swapped it out for one of your favorite alts, and then that doubled, and now you're at 50 or 60,000. All of those moments in time, up or down, have no tax implications to them until you reach that age of distribution, where when we get older, we start taking the money out. Well, you're strategic about it. You work with your tax advisor and attorney, and you make sure, okay, I've maybe built it up to $1 million, and I'm going to take out 1 or 2 or 3% of it every year so that I keep myself in those lower tax brackets and at lower income. Now, there's an even better trick and a better hack that came out in the 70s known as the Roth IRA. The Roth IRA was designed and implemented by Edward J. Roth from Delaware. And he brought it up because, again, we had a savings crisis in America. At that time, we had a lot of crises. We had an oil crisis. We had all kinds of things happening. And so the Roth was designed to give you an even better incentive. You don't get the benefit of lowering your tax bill for the year, but when you reach the age of distribution, so if you turn 5,000 into 500,000, as you take that money out of the Roth IRA, it is 100%, and I'll say this slowly, 100% tax free. So you will not pay taxes on those funds because you paid the taxes on the way into the IRA. It's post-tax money. You will not be taxed again when you distribute it. So no capital gains taxes along the way and no taxes upon distribution. Most powerful tool out there in the retirement savings that the government gives us in order to maximize our long-term savings and get ready for the future.
I mean, I love it. We actually have somebody here, all easy tunes 80 says, I'm 22. What's the minimum I could put in monthly? And is that actually, it's whether it's Bitcoin IRA or IRAs in general, there's been a lot of shuffling and shifting and changing. Has the total amounts changed? And is there any sort of way, at the end of the year, are you still like, now, did we miss last year? Can we still pay for it? Can we also pay ahead for this year? How does that work?
Absolutely. So, for the question there, obviously, you take 7,000 is last year's amount. They keep changing them because they're trying to keep up with inflation that they caused. So, $7,000 a year or two ago. This actually, when I first started this, the maximum you could contribute was 5,500 at the age of 22. Now we're all the way up to seven. In this coming tax year for 25, it's going to 7,500. So, there's an important deadline that's in a few weeks, April 15th. If you want to contribute for last year, so 2024's tax season, you need to get the contribution into an IRA before April 15th. You need to open up the IRA account and deposit the funds before then, so that you get the benefit for that. You can also, at the same time, which was a lot of folks do, is they'll max out their contribution for this year, for 2025, so that they're not thinking about it in December or November. And if they're thinking about buying Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, what will those values be at right now? I love red days. I call them Macy's red tag sale days. These are great times to dollar cost average in and increase your sat stack during times like this when the market is down. And then you can obviously do monthly. Just take your max contribution and divide it by 12 months. And that's how much you would do. And some people do quarterly. A lot of folks will take the opportunity when they have a good year or a good month or whatever. It's really just, it's a mentality. Savings, going from foot to mouth, or hand to mouth, sorry. What are we talking about? Mad cow disease? Going from hand to mouth happens between the ears. It's the mentality that you have about a dollar spent should be a dollar saved and invested, so that you can maximize on these benefits that you have. And you're going to be thrilled with yourself when you reach that ripe age of retirement because of what you put together for yourself.
Oh, I mean, I love it because I guess kind of pulling it all together. You said it's 7,000 for last year,
7,000.
and
If you're under 50, if you're over 50, it's 7,500. This coming year, they're increasing it to 7,500 for under 50, 8,000 for over 50.
so like if I were to go and sign up today, because I've actually been looking to move into an IRA. I'm an idiot because as much as I look at all this data, sometimes all of us, every one of you watching, we've all done it. I know I should. I know I should. I know I should. And then you end up passing. You'll look at it 3 days after a deadline to actually take advantage of something that gave you a tax benefit from last year. That even within that $7,000 range might put you in an entirely different tax bracket. So I mean, pay attention to
Yep.
it. But I could still pay. What's the deadline for this year to pay for last year? And if I were to sign
April
up, could I
15th.
could I pay for last year and this next year all in one whack, or is it better to
Yeah.
do it?
Yeah, so it's April 15th is the deadline for last year. We make it very easy for you. You go to bitcoinira.com. You can open up the account very quickly online. We are a real crypto, real people enterprise. So we will have somebody call you to make sure that we're custom tailored to your retirement is not a one size fits all mentality. Everybody's a little different, just like your question here. But what you could do is you'll link your bank account via the security of Plaid, and you'll do one contribution for last year, and it'll ask you what tax year you're doing this for, 2024, and you'll submit it, and then it'll clear and come through, and then you do right afterwards, you do the one for 2025. And now for you at your age, our age, you're a few years older than me. I just turned 40. We could do, let's see, 777,000 plus 7,500, 14,500, and get started now, and you'll be thrilled with yourself by the end of the year. Just imagine where the growth could be.
Well, I love that. Everybody, if you are interested, at which I think all of you should explore these types. Even if you're not ready, explore these things. It's better to be ready before when you need to do it in a moment's notice and you don't make a smart decision. Of course, here at Discover Crypto, here at BitLab Academy, Blockchain Basement, we try to bring the best utility services, tools, access, and data on these markets. So definitely look into it. Share this with your friends, family, parents. It's, you can roll things over. You can roll an existing 401k and Roth into this too, right?
Yep, exactly. So there's contribution is only one of three ways in order to contribute or to put money into a Bitcoin IRA. A lot of folks forget this. There are trillions of dollars left behind in old 401ks. So once you leave a job, which nowadays in this economy, people move jobs quite a bit more than they used to in our grandfathers or our fathers' generations. If you leave a job and you had an old 401k there, or 403b if you're a nurse or a fireman or a policeman, or 457, or even a TSP, a thrift savings plan for those that work for the government. And many of those are soldiers. Thank you for your service. All those are eligible for rollover into an IRA once you leave service. So there's two ways they're eligible. You either leave the job or you turn 59 and a half. But you don't want to leave your old 401k behind. You've got a new job. You got a fresh start. And also 401ks, they're notorious for being accumulation programs. So it's all about, I put some money, my corporate match adds some money, and I accumulate. But they're not really strong for investment strategies. They've got A, B, C, D generic funds. A lot of employers, what happens, I'm an employer, is that if you want to give your employees the good stuff, the cutting edge stuff, you have to pay a premium for that. And employers are trying to find ways to cut budgets left and right. And so with healthcare going up and things like that, so the retirement plan kind of gets minimized. You don't want to sit and stay in one of those places. Also, your employer could resell that off to another 401k provider, and then you're now trying to figure out where it's at. Well, when I worked there, it was Fidelity, but now it's over at Hewitt. So it's just best you leave a job, don't leave something behind. Grab that 401k, roll it over into an IRA. No taxable event. You're moving from your left hand pocket to your right hand pocket. And then the third, probably most popular way for us, is folks have existing IRAs at Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, and they say, you know what, I think I want to put a little bit of this into the crypto space. You do a transfer from Fidelity, move over a partial or full amount of that IRA, it lands, and again, no taxable event has taken place. You're just moving between retirement accounts, but all your tax settings stay exactly the same.
I love that because it doesn't mean you have to go all in. Yeah, I'm all in, but I don't expect somebody that's 63. They might not have the same risk appetite. And I love that you said that you have a team member actually speak with them, because it's true. Everybody has a different risk profile, risk appetite, and time horizon that they're even looking to that they're building into. Whether that who it was that was 22, or somebody that's rolling over a retirement account that they've been pumping money into and building for the last 15 years, but want to get exposure to this. And you don't have to do the whole thing. You can say, hey, I want to do 5% of this, or 6%, or 22%, or you be a degen and do 85%, or go all in like the CEO of Metaplanet was saying that he's recommending his friends. Everybody, you all have your own risk appetite. But
One
would
of
you think
one of our
go
first, one of our early adopters actually left his job at Intel in 2016 because he wanted to liberate his 401k. He built up about $500,000 into his 401k. He had planned on leaving service in a couple of years once he found out the opportunity. to put this in Bitcoin. He was already stacking sats outside of his IRA and his 401k. And so he literally, I remember being on the phone with him. I was like, are you sure that you want to do? He's like, no, Chris, this is my plan. And then he kept checking in every week. Hey, have they sent the check? Have they sent the check? Because they do sometimes take time with it. The instant gratification is contribution. Financial institutions love to take your money. They don't really necessarily like to give it back to you or let you move it. They put you through some rigmarole and you have to run
Yeah.
through the ringer in order to get it done. But again, our team helps you get through that. You're not alone with it. And I love the challenge. If anybody's listening and really has some questions or wants to look into this, Real Crypto, Real People are waiting at 877-936-7175. Yes, that's a real phone number with real people that you can talk crypto with for your retirement.
I love that. Now, a couple questions. I'm just putting this up on the screen so people can see that. And I just want to shout out also, you guys call this number. You can also go to bitcoinira.com. Just mention Discover Crypto or Kellam or BitLab Academy, and you will be able to take advantage also of
The reward.
the special bonuses that they have, which are, getting that $1,000 rewards. But there's a couple important questions here. One of them was, and I think we kind of already covered this, but why invest in an IRA when you can just put it all in Bitcoin?
Well, if you're all in Bitcoin, a lot of Bitcoiners I know don't realize that they actually have about 20% less Bitcoin than they think they do. And that's because when the day comes where you die and you hand it off to your next generation or your heirs, or you actually sell it at a gain of whatever it's been from when you bought it, you will face a government tax bill, just like Kelly was talking about with some of his friends from 2017. And that can be upwards of 25% for short term, but about 20% on average is what you have less than. So this is an ability for you to do both. Invest in Bitcoin because you believe in it and you think it's the future of the monetary system, and use the tools of the infrastructure we have to your advantage of getting tax savings and avoiding tax implications and making that purchasing power of your Bitcoin go even further. This is the future that we're looking at.
So if people, we've discussed rolling over existing IRAs and also cash contributions. If you already have Bitcoin, can you move that over? Can you actually transfer just Bitcoin into this IRA account?
That's the one rule I wish I could change. So the IRS has a policy in their documents that if you contribute to an IRA, it has to be in US dollars. So what we do have folks do is that they'll if they have the 7,000 sitting at Coinbase, Kraken, or some other exchange, first you open up your account at Bitcoin IRA and you get everything set up. So you've got it all dialed in, and then you make sure your bank account for Link's Plaid is set, and you maybe do a test of $1 or something. Just make sure everything's good, and then in one day you sell on the left, move it over from your exchange to your bank account, and then contribute it to the right, and then within a day you'll be able to get back into the marketplace. Now this is a great time to do that because we are somewhat range bound and somewhat of like we're not running 20-30% at a time period. It's a great time. It's a little bit quieter market, and then you can DCA your way back in. You don't have to just take the chunk of $7,000 and go, okay, I'm buying it all today. If you're watching Kelly and the boys that Discover Crypto in the blockchain basement, they'll probably give you a few great buying dip opportunities with the DCA abilities out there.
And then the Black GT said, what if we already filed our taxes for last year?
You could make an amendment. It's so I don't know who you used, if it was just like an H&R Block or something like that, or TurboTax, but you can amend your tax filing up to a year after the process. So you can make a contribution, and then what you'll do is your income, whatever it was, will get lowered by that. I would definitely reach out to whoever you filed with and make sure that and find out the steps that they take for an amendment to your filing.
I love that. Well, before we go, we've covered quite a bit here. I do want to just call out again, everybody, make sure you head over to bitcoinira.com. And of course, they've got the number there, which is 877-936-7175. Again, that's 877-936-7175. They got somebody that can actually talk to you. They're also up to 250 million squared custody insurance. Am I seeing that correctly?
It's up to $250 million of insurance per wallet. And so, yes, we built this thing with a pentagon of custody mentality. We protect you from yourself first and foremost with multi-factor authentication. Also, when you log in, so say you do get SIM swapped, or your email gets hacked and somebody's logging in to your account, they will not be able to move. This isn't Coinbase or Kraken. They're not going to be able just to take your Bitcoin and run with it. We put you through several layers of AI verification of your identity. You actually get on a video call just like this and answer questions, and and we test for realness along the way. So we put you in a very protected pentagon of custody in order to keep your assets safe. And yeah, so that because of that setup, we're able to go to Lloyd's of London and to Chubb and get underwrit for insurance of up to $250 million per wallet, for instance. This is like it is not FDIC insurance. There's no thing exists in Bitcoin like FDIC insurance. This is what we did as a platform to help people feel comfortable. We're up to 200,000 users, and we have almost 14 billion with a B dollars of assets under custody on our platform.
I love it. I mean, I absolutely love it. And I think everybody, I was talking with you about this yesterday. There's so much noise in this market. And everybody make money how you want to, pick the coins you want to. But also when we're at this foray of stepping into global finance in a real way, but also with the empowerment that we're hoping for, we're still hoping for, we're making the headway with the SEC and with the strategic Bitcoin reserve. And also the Bitcoin Act that's likely coming out, going to be voted on at some time this year. But the other nation states out there as well, when you're talking about something that is a traditional finance mechanism that is essentially shows the legitimacy of long-term approach of what's happening with an IRA. I think it's phenomenal. So I do want to just remind you all, go check out bitcoinira.com. The number's also on the top of that page there. Make sure you tell them that you came from BitLab Academy or Discover Crypto. We're all one group here because you do get some special little benefits there. And also you help support us as well. But I got to ask you, I'm not going to ask you to give directional advice on the price on Bitcoin. But when we're looking at a couple things, I just want to highlight, we've seen, it's the wrong button there. My bad. We're seeing the price action. Oh, it's a bear market because we dropped below the 200-day moving average. Wait a minute. It went to new all-time high there. Oh, God, we dropped below the 200-day moving average. Wait a minute. It went to a new all-time high. Oh my God, it went below the 200-day moving average. Kind of different than traditional assets where it's kind of the marker of the bull market, bear market, and we're kind of hovering right in there. I just want to point out to everybody, if you are new to Bitcoin or if you're still hesitant because you're not wondering, is it a good time to buy? I can't tell you to buy or not, but I will show you that we've had 82 days that we were under the 200-day moving average before we basically broke into new highs. And this was at the top of a trend. I believe that we're nowhere near the top of the trend. I think it's going to be many months, probably into next year, and it's not going to be cycles like we've seen before. But we had 59 bars here under before we just rocketed up. 97 bars here before we just rock. I mean, look at this. From this point here, that's 108. I think it's about 108, 110% move up after we were in a bear market. And here we are yet again. And we've only seen stronger and stronger cases. I just want to highlight some of these things before we go. Fear of the Trump tariffs. Oh, 9/11, the Iraq war. We have all these things that prove to be incredible buying opportunities if you looked into multi-month, multi-year timeframes. We are in a more sentiment-based buying opportunity at the same time. Whales, the big money players just stacking in here. There is a little bit of sell-off, sure, with all this the tariff fear and uncertainty. Also, people taking advantage of the market dynamics right now. But we've seen exponential growth in Bitcoin in terms of the long-term holder accumulation addresses, and it just started ticking back up. And then we also see, this is a great chart from Didi Taihutu. Once the price action, the 200-day moving average broke past the previous all-time high, that also signaled about a market top. Same thing here, broke past previous all-time high on the 200-day moving average, that signaled the market top. We are so far below this. We've got some room to run. And then you wonder about how much capital is coming in. Guys, this is only just starting. And then you see Ethereum. Look at this. This is, they're preparing. Everybody's saying ETH is dead. And we're seeing just massive upticks on the buy pressure on the back for people that are paying attention. Everybody, I think that things are getting only more and more bullish, in my opinion. Would you argue that there's still some upside in this market, this cycle?
Absolutely. I think we're actually going to have a super cycle that's extended as a result that it's not in a vacuum. We don't just live here in our little Bitcoin crypto world. We have outside world impacts. Obviously there's tariff impacts and it's also a zero sum game. When you look overall at the global economy, the tariffs are mostly trade negotiations. Trump made it very clear in his campaign that it's going to go from an internal revenue service to an external revenue service, and he's putting that to practice. And that's only half of the conversation. The next half of the conversation is going to be about tax savings, tax benefits, and tax cuts for the American people. So in its entirety, you're going to see a very enthusiastic and confident American consumer coming into the summer years. And yes, every time I actually prefer to hear that we're in a bear market because I know a run's coming, versus when we're in a bull and everybody thinks it's never going to end, because that's the one that scares me the most. These are opportune moments. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tom Lee and Scaramucci's predictions: 150, $200,000 Bitcoin at the end of this cycle, and it's going to really start to kick in the August, September, October time period because of halving, right? This is a fundamental. This is something that happens no matter what's happening around us, and at the same time, we're making some. This is the first time in almost 100 years that the American government is saying we're putting the American economy first. We're not trying to export our wealth across the country, across the world. We're trying to make sure we take care of the American people first. We cut this waste. Now, don't be surprised. Short-term indicators, there's probably in April and May, there's going to be things come out where we're going to miss on GDP. We might miss on a couple of the key indicators, but that's because we're cutting waste. We're letting air out of the balloon instead of just keep pumping until it bursts like it did in 08, 01, 86, all the way back to the 1920s and even before then. We're breaking the cycle and the pattern of rise and then huge haircut for the average American consumer. And what better place to position yourself in than in the future of the monetary system? That's something I believe in as a strong proponent. So we are on a train that is driven by scarcity and store value, and we will not be stopped. This is the third administration we've been in as Bitcoin. I've been in two of them as a business owner in Bitcoin, and I have more enthusiasm about the future on a day-to-day than I've ever had before.
Oh, everybody, you got to hit the like button for that. It's a like button really for yourself. You are ahead of about 6.5 or 7 billion people. It feels like in these bubbles, watching BitLab, watching Discover, it feels like everybody knows what's up. And a recent survey showed 86% of people polled said that they were not planning on investing in Bitcoin. Does that mean it's a bad investment? No, that means that you're looking at the data. We see the architecture, the framework, all getting built. Big money players, the biggest asset managers in history, BlackRock, Fidelity, Donald Trump and his media group, the president of the United States, El Salvador has a Bitcoin strategy. MicroStrategy itself is basically the best performing stock because they took on a Bitcoin treasury strategy. You see Metaplanet absolutely exploding, showing that MicroStrategy was not an anomaly. This is a repeatable thing. GameStop just jumped in. Now their stock's dropping. That means it's over. No, there's a whole different contingent of people that are focused on GameStop. They don't understand what a $1.3 billion debt offering is, which is only going to substantiate having more Bitcoin on their balance sheet. It's going to be an incredible story going forward. And I think every one of you, I'm so thankful for every one of you watching. I appreciate you, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on X. We love you. We appreciate you. And Chris Kline here from Bitcoin IRA. I really appreciate this conversation, talking about real things. And again, whether it's Bitcoin IRA or anything, protect yourself, everybody. Take advantage of the tools that are available. And why not take advantage of the tools that are available on a tax basis with something that also is on a future basis like Bitcoin? So I do want to just call out again, everybody, make sure you head over to bitcoinira.com. There's a number up here for you. You can talk to somebody directly. You can see it right there. But you can just go to bitcoinira.com. Let them know Discover Crypto sent you, Kellam sent you, BitLab Academy sent you. Any of those will do. They'll make sure to give you some extra love and make sure that you can take advantage of those things. I think it was this. Oh, no, that's not the right one. It's somewhere. I have too many things on my screen and my screen's too far away. There it is. Get up to $1,000 in rewards as well if you get allocated. And also, you're rewarding yourself by giving yourself a reduction in your tax liability from last year. You're protecting yourself. So I appreciate you, Chris. I hope we're going to be having you on regularly over the next many months, and we can see where this market's going because I could not be more excited. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything else you'd like to drop before you go?
Now, I just want to say thank you so much for having me today, Kelly. Your guys' communities are so welcoming. When my folks talk to people from your community that call in or open accounts with us, it's just great to be in a room. This is the last day of a week-long media tour. I started at Yahoo Finance, did some time at the stock exchange, some time with Pomp, and these are just ones where I feel like I can kind of let my hair down a little bit and let's just talk Bitcoin and let's talk amongst our community. But remember, go out there and share with family and friends. My policy is help Americans retire, and it goes one person at a time. So share with your friends and share with your family.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you and everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'll be doing a member stream later, give you some more data. So I'm going to do some because we focused on macro. We focused on a lot of things. There's also this needed services like Bitcoin IRA. You can. I'm going to be dropping some TA alpha later for the members. The link is down below. If you make sure you subscribe to this channel. And right after you subscribe, you'll see the join button. Or if you're a member of BitLab Academy or our private groups, you will see that as well. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Chris, thank you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you yesterday and also having you on. I look forward to having you on more and getting some people involved with some healthy tax strategies and taking advantage of what's out there.
Awesome. Thanks
Adios,
so much,
everybody.
Kelly.
Of course, everybody have a great weekend. If I don't see you on the member stream, adios.